Hello, everybody. Today, we're going to be analyzing Bitcoin using technical analysis. I'm going to be sharing exactly how I'm looking at things at the moment. For those of you that know me from my other channel, you'll know that technical analysis is more of my forte. It's what I've been doing for about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. And so, yes, I'm just going to share my 2 cents here, what I'm seeing and exactly how I go about analyzing these things. I'm not necessarily going to make an exact price prediction because I really don't think it's necessary. But what I do think is valuable is being able to understand how to read where price is currently at and react to what it's doing currently, because that will give an indication onto what's going to happen in the future weeks and month to 2 months in terms of all of the altcoins and stuff like that, which is what I am mainly talking about on this channel. Okay, so let's get into it. So the first thing to take note of here is the all-time highs that we did breach. But it's not just, okay, we touched above all-time highs, because it is always possible that we could have just grabbed liquidity below there and seen a much bigger move downwards before we go up. And so because of that, we need to see more confirmation that it's going to hold above this level, in my personal opinion. Okay. Now, let's first of all, let me just sit down here. So the first thing we need to understand is liquidity, because I think this is probably the most common concept. And at least in the crypto space, I don't see this being talked about all that much, at least from a technical standpoint. If you are a large institution, so if you're a large institution, let's say you're looking to, invest 100 billion, for example, into crypto, and then we compare that to a small trader who's maybe looking to put, I don't know, 5K in a position. Okay, so let me just leave that. Okay, so 5K in a position. The approach that these two people need to take is vastly different, because if you are buying $100 billion worth, you need to have enough sellers in the market to buy off. So let's write this down. Okay, so you need buyers to sell to, you need sellers to buy off. So what is this? Why is this important? Who cares? Because if you are a large flow of money, you understand that they can't just buy anywhere. In most cases, obviously, there's a lot of liquidity in Bitcoin at the moment. And so these issues are going to become less and less. But nevertheless, they are still issues for a lot of smaller altcoins, with kind of smaller market caps and stuff like that. But nevertheless, this is still an issue with certain amounts. There's never going to be perfect amount of liquidity. And so what this means is, it means that if you are a larger flow of money, and let's say we are right here and we want to buy, we can't just buy here, because everyone will be buying here. Everyone would have seen this dip and okay, cool, the candles are, in this case blue, but green, like they're going up. Woo, that's what everyone's going to be thinking. So they're going to be buying here. The stupid money is going to be buying here. But the smart money needs to be a little bit more intelligent. And so what they need to do is they need to engineer liquidity so that they can accumulate larger positions. Another thing that is very, very common is, if you have a huge position like this, or maybe even bigger, you can't normally just dump it in one position. It's not like you can, you just have your app and you're like, yeah, buy, sweet, I'm in, bro. Like that's not really how it works. It's a process. It's normally done over lots of smaller transactions. And so we need to understand where liquidity lies. Okay, so I'm going to explain this from a technical standpoint only, instead of kind of going into all of the other elements. But look, if we just look here, if we've got a very obvious level here, everyone is buying here, whether that be for technical reasons, whether that be for fundamental reasons, doesn't matter. Because everyone's buying here, this is going to be a level of significance. It means that if everybody's trying to buy here, what can the smart money, the larger flows of money, not do? They can't buy here, because if everybody is buying here, then how are they going to fulfill this right here? They're not going to have any sellers to buy off. It's just going to be like if you go to a supermarket and no one's selling anything, but you've got all this money you want to spend. You're not going to be able to spend it, are you? Because no one has anything to sell. Simple. So what do? They understand that liquidity will rest below these levels. What form will that come in? That will come in stop loss orders from leverage traders. That will come from people panic selling, the less experienced people, and, people changing their direction, and the people who predict that, oh yeah, as I predicted, Bitcoin's about to go into a bear market. There are loads of people with loads of different opinions. Please do not underestimate the difference in people's opinions and how far they're willing to go to support those opinions. And so what that means is, in order to engineer liquidity, we need to seek below old lows if we're willing to go before we are looking to go higher. Let me just move the screen along here. So we need to engineer liquidity below lows and then break structure to the upside. But let's look at what's happening here. We've grabbed liquidity below here, below here, below here, below here, and then confirmed that this is a liquidity grab and not a change in direction. How? By waiting for major, keyword major structure to break. You'll be able to see minor structure forming all the way down here, but it's being able to spot the difference. Okay, now let's look at an example right here. Okay, so right here, prices reached this peak up here, and then we came down. We started breaking old lows. Why did we do that? Well, the stupid money will start selling here. They'll start panicking. They'll start making all sorts of wacky predictions that the market is changing and the sentiment is changing and all of this sort of stuff. And sometimes they may absolutely be right. This isn't a foolproof 100% working model. It's about combining things and understanding the probability, what is more likely to happen, because we don't have control over this stuff. We can only make our estimations. Okay, and so look what happens. We take the liquidity below here. We then create liquidity above here because we see this big wick. Loads of people will be buying here. They'll see it going up here. They'll be going, oh, sweet, I got a discount. And then it'll take that out. This is very, very common. You will see it over and over and again. And this is on the daily time frame. If you go down time frames, you will see that this pattern happens within patterns. Like there's constant patterns happening within the overall patterns. We go back to this exact same scenario right here. We see it in a little bit more depth. You can see lots of liquidity forming within this overall pattern. We've got lows being taken out all over the place. And so it's not about having every time frame down to a T. It's just about understanding what you are looking for, where and why. And so if we look at where Bitcoin is currently, let's go down to the 4 hour to get a little bit of a better view. We did get a daily close right here above, but then we closed straight back in. If we look right here, we closed up and we close back down. The close is a very valuable piece of information. I will make more videos on that in the future. But because of that, I would have preferred either a weekly close above there or just price to hold a little bit above there. But you've got to, is it really surprising that we've then come down here? Well, let's think about what we've said so far today. Why have I got this level marked on with $3 signs right here? Well, you've got to understand there's a lot of liquidity resting above all-time highs. And so it's very unlikely the price is just going to go above all-time highs and just immediately rocket. It does happen. Of course it happens. But Bitcoin has a very, very large market cap. And so there's going to be a lot of liquidity. And more than likely, if we're going to continue going higher, this retrace is really, really to be expected. In fact, I'm surprised that it is not a little bit deeper, if I'm being completely honest. But let's look at what's happening here. So I'm not going to draw, really perfect lines here. I'm just going to do it to give you a little bit of a idea about all of these liquidity areas that are getting taken out. Okay, and then what happens here? Where we're at right now, how do we make sense of this? I keep getting the search bar up, which is not what I want. So the next thing is being able to identify structural highs and lows. And so this is a topic in and of itself. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I will make another video. If you guys want to see that, let me know. But for me, this would be a major structural point because the retrace has enough candles for me. It's a lot deeper than something like this. And if you're looking at this going, how the hell is this even relevant, and you're not really used to technical analysis, if I was to draw a line right here, we can see that this is a structural high, and this is what I would class as a minor high. It's a very quick and then move back. Whereas if we look at this overall move here, this is a major high. And so if we're looking at all of these structural levels being taken out, I want to see the last major structural high getting broken confidently and then held above there. And so if you wanted to get a little bit more advanced, when price did break above here, you cut to a lower time frame and wait for the same pattern to form again and get a really, really good entry if it was leverage trading that you were doing. However, of course, this isn't financial advice, but that is something that is possible to do, especially with leverage trading. There's no real point when you're doing it when you're just investing. But yeah, so if we go down to a time frame, you can probably see a version of that happening now. Right here, to be honest, the way that things are moving here, it kind of looks like it's curving back up, but it never broke any major structural highs here, and it just continued going down. And so again, it's all about knowing the time frames that you're looking at. It's possible that we'll come into these sorts of areas down here to look for some new buyers entering the market. This would be the last structural low of this market, because it was from this point after this retrace that we reached this high up here. And so within this range somewhere, it could even be from this entire range here, is we're seeing prices go higher. Okay, very, very simple. And so for me, I see the next week to 2 weeks to maybe even 2 months, the end of year really, being very, very bullish. This all is pointing towards bullish for me. Beyond that, I do not know, but this is very, very good, because it also means that all altcoins are very likely to do well as well. I will continually post update videos to this as well. I may even make this a weekly, or a couple of times a week thing that I can do, so that you guys can take note of it, and yeah, I don't know if you find it valuable or whatever, but let me know if that is something you'd like to see in the comment section below. And yeah, take it easy, guys. I'll see you in the next one.